PGF fans, jiu-jitsu nerds, I am being joined by the legend, the most known documentarian in jiu-jitsu we have today. We are blessed to have Stuart Cooper, not only creating the content that he does on YouTube, but also now joining PGF Season 7. Now, Stuart, you were there during PGF Season 6. It is a gauntlet, constant fighting, 3 matches a day. What made you want to be part of PGF Season 7?
Always wanted to compete at like a really high level like this. I have done a few times, but um, never got the opportunity to really go up against some of the guys like Cal Bain, Adam Bradley, people like that. Over the last few years, I've only just done grappling industries, a few local tournaments, and I've always wanted to do the ADCC trials, but every time that's come around, I've had an injury, like an elbow surgery or knee surgery. And I'm 39, I'll be 40 in less than a year. So this is kind of my last chance to kind of compete against the best, because I've been training for a long time and people know me from my videos, but I've actually been teaching jiu-jitsu for years now and training since 2008, 2009. So yeah, I'm getting old. I think I might be the oldest guy in the bracket, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you're going to bring in a lot of experience and I feel like a lot of knowledge from last tournament, kind of the strategy going in.
It was good being there actually and seeing how it works and seeing like the layout, the format, I'll know what to expect,
And when did you start your jiu-jitsu journey?
I think that was, back in 2008. I went to university, got a degree, did all the things you're supposed to do, got a job in London and then decided I wasn't happy. Discovered jiu-jitsu from watching UFC and then took a few classes and next thing you know, I'm hooked. I got that jiu-jitsu addiction that seems to happen to everybody, when you start training.
And was your degree in university something to do with production and video creation, or is that something you kind of just found?
I always had an interest in like art and film, and the degree I did was called Content for Creation for Broadcast Media, but it was very theory based. We never actually made anything. But when I was at university, I actually hired out the equipment to play around with the video camera a little bit and make stuff. But most of my filmmaking actually comes from filming weddings. When I actually finished university, I became a wedding videographer. So that's how I taught myself how to edit and actually make stuff.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good industry to get into because people who are having their wedding, they're willing to pay the big bucks for good quality stuff. Where jiu-jitsu coverage, maybe not the same, but it's slowly but surely getting there. I mean, you were there for CJI, the highest paying grappling tournament in history. So since you've been there to kind of experience jiu-jitsu, not really considered a legitimate sport, to now where we are with Professional Grappling Federation, CJI. What can you say about the evolution of jiu-jitsu from your time in the sport?
Oh, it's wild. I mean, I remember I used to tell people say, oh, what do you do? And oh, I teach jiu-jitsu. And like, what's that? So I'd have to like explain what it is. It's kind of like wrestling. They're like, what, do you wear a costume? I'm like, no, not like that kind of wrestling. But now people know what it is. You've got people like Zuckerberg and interested in jiu-jitsu and actually training it. So now most people know it and it's got more professional. When I first got into it I remember 2008, 2009. I remember going to a local tournament and a super fight would be 2 purple belts, and if you saw a black belt in the room, it would be like, oh wow, it's like this, like Gandalf the Grey, there's a black belt. But now like there's probably like, I'm not sure how many black belts are in England now, but there's a lot. And, going to tournaments like ADCC, I was there in 2011 and 2013 in China. It was like no audience. Fast forward to 2019, 2022, CGI, like it's, you got these arenas full. So it's, people, the technique has got better as well. I got my black belt in 2015, and that's honestly like a blue belt of today's standards, I think. I feel like the standards of belt have changed as well. People are more professional. The way that, before people would have like a full-time job and do jiu-jitsu and you could become a world champion, but now people are like fully dedicated jiu-jitsu professional athletes.
And the athletes that you're going to be going up against in PGF, they are guys that do this full-time and they are hungry. How have you been able to kind of change your training camp and prepare for the longevity that's going to be needed, but also, I guess, the tenacity of these kind of younger athletes?
Yeah, well, right after CGI, I did all the video editing, the highlight, which is going to be coming out soon. I just dropped all the video stuff. I haven't been editing, I haven't been filming anything. I just basically turned myself into being an athlete over the last few, since CJI actually. So I've been doing a lot of strength and conditioning, like 3 times a week, jiu-jitsu pretty much every day, and a lot of cardio. I've been doing the assault bike 3 times a week because I know
Yes.
this is going to be a real challenge. I've never done anything like this, and I'm not an active competitor like the other guys. So 3 matches a day, every day for 4 days, potentially 5 days. That's a lot. It's because of it's one thing doing 3 rounds at the gym, 3 6-minute rounds at the gym with a blue belt and a purple belt, but these guys are monsters. So I'm just trying to get myself in the best shape possible, so I can actually like hopefully my body doesn't break halfway through the week.
Well, that assault bike will definitely get you into
Yeah.
into good shape. That thing is the worst, so I'm happy
Oh,
you.
I hate it. I hate it. Yeah. I try and find a reason to not do it, but yeah.
No, but that will definitely help so much. I mean, it is going to be a long week. I remember interviewing PJ, who is such a vet to the game, who's super durable, but even he was like, "This is fucked."
I
Like
remember I spoke to him. Yeah, I remember at the end of the week, I had a little. When it was all over, I was speaking to PJ. He said the same thing. He goes, bro, I've done ADCC. I've done all the tournaments. This was fucking hard. And now I'm like, what am I got myself into?
Right? Well, you are going to do so great. I know that a big part of PGF is the partnership with New Hope Regeneration. And Kevin, the CEO behind it, is so sweet. Like the way he talks about just wanting to support the athletes in any way that they can, but especially physically. And now Team X Marshall had their first wave of stem cells. I don't know, is that something that is particularly interesting to you that you would like, is that not maybe not as big as the money, but is that something that is like, wow, that would be so helpful?
What, to do stem cells?
Stem cells, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I already have actually. I think the only reason I'm actually even competing and training now is because of the stem cells I did a year ago. It was just over a year ago now. I went to CPI in Tijuana, and amazing because my knees were fucked. My elbows, my neck, I had degenerative disc disease and 5 bulging discs in my neck. And it was getting to the point where I was going to have to stop training hard. And then I did the stem cells in 3 discs in my neck, both my knees, both my elbows, the rest in an IV. I think I had maybe 200 million stem cells injected in my body. And then I took 4 months off doing nothing to let the stem cells work. And then I did a lot of strength and conditioning and kind of eased my way back into it. And I feel like I reversed 10 years of damage. And now I'm just doing it
Wow.
all over again. So yeah, training for this and the tournament itself, it's going to be a lot of wear and tear on the body. So I'm glad that there's going to be some stem cells at the end of it because I'm going to need it.
Yes, and I had no idea that you got the stem cells. I know that a big selling point of New Hope Regeneration is that kind of dismissing the myth that you have to go to Tijuana to get stem cells. Now they're here in the States, and Team X Marshall got their first taste of that. So when you're talking about the immediate, or maybe not immediate effects, but like, what was it that you felt about the stem cells that was a noticeable change? Like, was it just like day-to-day pain that went away or the way you're able to
um,
move?
I would just every night I would go to sleep because of the bulging discs in my neck. Both my arms would go dead, and I couldn't really look to the right. If I just look to the right and bring my ear to my shoulder, it would pinch all the way down. It wouldn't take much. I actually stopped wrestling completely because if I was to shoot a double leg, just the slightest push of my head, and I would get like a stinger go down my arm. And then my knees, I couldn't sit down on my heels because they were pretty almost bone on bone. So it's definitely when I had the stem cells injected in the discs of my neck, it caused a lot of inflammation. So there's quite a bit of downtime actually before you start feeling the benefits. For me, it was around 3 or 4 months before I really noticed, like, wow, my neck is moving a lot smoother. My physiotherapist was skeptical, whether these would work or not. And he said, "Do you know what you're doing? You're going to Tijuana and getting things injected in the discs of your neck. Do you know what you're doing? Does this have good reviews?" But I know the owner of the hospital, Scotty Nelson. He's a good friend of mine. I spoke to many athletes that went there before me, like Eric Anders, Eddie Bravo, Galvao, and they all had good
Seth,
results.
Seth too,
Seth as
Belial.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is some intense injuries that you've had. It doesn't really like look like it slowed you down. I saw some grappling footage of you and Craig. He captioned it ayahuasca versus Adderall. So I'm assuming he's talking about you being the ayahuasca and he.
Yeah. Definitely not Craig. He's not into that stuff.
So did you
it didn't go well for me that day. But...
Did you travel somewhere to do ayahuasca?
Yeah, actually, way back in 2016. Before that, I actually got hooked on opiates. I was living in Thailand. I was young, naive, didn't know anything about addiction. But I'm popping these like tramadol painkillers like candy. Next thing you know, I'm hooked on them. So I managed to get off them. But I did ayahuasca to kind of do a bit of rewiring in my brain. And I don't know what the science is and how that works, but yeah, it's very hard to explain and put into words what happens when you do something like ayahuasca. I've done a bunch of psychedelics now, and for me, it's been amazing. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. There's a lot of people that should not do psychedelics because it can trigger like schizophrenia, and you really have to be careful, that kind of thing. But my personal experience with them have been amazing,
That's so amazing. I remember, I'm like blanking on his name right now, but I think he was there with you. And then of course, Del, right? Do you know Del? There's Del and then there's Ben. Ben was there. They were both at PGF and they both like create content on ayahuasca type stuff, like more psychedelic.
Yeah, Ben Joseph Stewart. Yeah, I met him.
Yes.
So I didn't know who he was. We got talking, but I'd actually watched his documentary on, was it Unsafe and Ineffective, about the COVID vaccines. I watched his documentary and he like, I didn't realize it was him. I was like, oh man, you made that. I watched that like very recently, and he does a lot of stuff with Aubrey Marcus. So I think he's made a few documentaries on ayahuasca with him. And that's something I've actually wanted to do because I make videos on jiu-jitsu, but I actually want to kind of, go into other subjects,
Yeah, I think it's so awesome that PGF attracts a very cool group of people. It's invite only. I think we had Karen Bryant, Rashad Evans all say that PGF does it differently. It's so high class, it's so elevated, and it's much different than what you'd get from like your Nagas or grappling. Like this isn't a regular jiu-jitsu tournament. So what was your experience like at PGF season 6 last year? The first season that was really elevated to that level, being on UFC Fight Pass 2.
Yeah, it was just like really interesting, the format of it, 3 matches a day, it's submission only, and certain points are awarded for each submission, and it's the team with the most submissions at the end get 100K. Yeah, it's just completely unlike any other tournament,
And I don't want to completely go back, but my brain just went back to this. You said that you had a addiction issue with opioids at one point. I remember when I was in college, I was like all gung-ho on a product that you might know because you lived in Thailand for so long, but it's called Kratom or Kratom.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, this is something that, it's good you brought this up because people think there's actually a documentary out there called A Leaf of Faith, and it underneath the slogan is a cure to the opiate epidemic. No, it's just another opiate. But if you to take opiates for painkillers, I would say kratom's probably the safer one. But I actually used kratom to taper down off the tramadols that I was addicted to, thinking, oh wow, and it really worked. It helped me get off the synthetic opiates. But then I'm addicted to kratom. I just basically swapped an addiction. And let me tell you, those kratom withdrawals are horrendous.
Oh
I went through
gosh,
it was
so
horrendous.
Bad. Yes,
So,
and I think the way they market it is very smart because they're like, oh, this is natural, and it comes from the earth, and it looks like that. It tastes earthy when you drink it, and the type of high that you get off of it is so nice. Like I would have some of the
it's more
deepest
energizing, isn't it?
Yes, it's energizing in small dosages and then analgesic in high dosages. Yeah. I was so obsessed with it that I wrote my thesis in college on it, and I was trying to persuade everyone to get on it. And then I got like actual addiction issues, and I was like, oh shit, like
the
opioid
just have to know
aspect.
How to take it. If you don't go over a gram, like it's just knowing how to do it. Because what they do I lived in Thailand, so I lived on a farm, and sure enough, there was kratom trees growing there. And this is way after my addiction. But they were what they do is they pick the leaves and they just chew the leaf when they're doing the farm work, and it's very like subtle.
Yes.
But what we do over here in America and Canada is what we do is we get like a bunch of leaves, we grind them up into a powder, and then make a concentrated extract over it. And you're not supposed to have it that powerful. So you just have to understand how to. Kratom is not bad if you just know the dosages. If you don't go over a gram, you should be okay. But it makes you feel that good. You're like, oh, I want to have another one later on. It's a slippery slope. You have to be aware of it.
Yeah, it definitely reached a point for me where once I started having the negative times on it, I just didn't like it anymore. Like it can really like make you stomach achy or different things. And I feel like once you experience that, it's kind of easy-ish to get over. But
yeah, a good thing to years later, I actually relapsed during COVID on kratom. So what I actually did was ibogaine. So the first time I used ayahuasca, but I was actually clean. And then during COVID, I relapsed on kratom. It wasn't bad, but I used ibogaine to get off it, and I had zero withdrawal, like zero. So ibogaine is illegal. So I had to break the law and do something illegal to heal myself.
yeah, but I mean, it's all powerful and it's
Wild,
all
right?
made you who you are today. And I remember meeting you at PGF, and I was immediately, one, happy to meet you because I knew the Stuart Cooper films, but then also your energy just right away. I was like, I love this person. Like, you just have such a nice energy that I feel like comes from maybe you traveling all around the world or maybe your upbringing. So tell me about your experiences. You said that you lived in Thailand before. Now you're in Vancouver, and you've kind of cultivated this personality that attracts people like Craig Jones to, invite you to CJI, and you just give good energy out that you receive it back. So where did that kind of all start for you?
Yeah, you know what? When I started jiu-jitsu, I was the shyest person in the room. I couldn't look people in the eye. Like I was so shy, and I feel like jiu-jitsu really it gave me that confidence because you're forced to interact with people. You get used to shaking people's hands. You get used to hugging people, and then I moved out to Brazil when I was 25 to train jiu-jitsu. And just meeting all these digital nomads and these other people, chasing the jiu-jitsu dream. And then I was in Thailand right after Brazil, and then I was all over America, and then I was back in Thailand, at Tiger Muay Thai. Then I was in Singapore. So I feel like just traveling and just meeting like-minded people and just life experience, is
And how have you been able to kind of make that digital nomad life your reality?
so I never even thought I just kind of winged it the whole time. When I moved out to Brazil when I was 25, there was no flow grappling. There was no one making videos like little short films, documentaries on jiu-jitsu really. So I was like the only guy. So because I was the only guy, it was super easy to get sponsors at the time. I would just like email some jiu-jitsu brand like, hey, you want to get your logo on one of my videos for like $500? And if you actually look at some of my old videos, I've got like 10 logos on it. But I would just do that all the time. And sometimes I would sleep in hostels. Sometimes I'd sleep in a gym, just on like the mats, overnight. I remember when I went to film Kurt Osiander in San Francisco, I actually slept in the gym because I had no money. I just had enough money for the flight. So just things like that. Like when you travel doing jiu-jitsu, it's a lot easier to make friends because you meet like-minded people. And then I say, oh, I'm just traveling around. Like, oh, you got a place to stay. And next thing you know, I'm staying at some person's house on the couch. So, and then when I was in Thailand, it was really cheap to live. I got a job in the video department at first, and the deal there was they give me free accommodation, a little bit of money, free meal plan, and all I had to do was make little videos. So, yeah, it was a great time. I did that for probably about 10 years. A decade was me just traveling around the world, not really having a plan. Just kind of riding the wave. Just going with it. But then it got to the point where like, you know what, I feel like I need to, have a home, have a base somewhere.
I definitely feel you on that, but that's so amazing that you were just able to trust in the universe and kind of go as you can. And very good point to like reach out to people and try to get sponsorships, especially in this jujitsu world that it's so new, not new jujitsu, but the media world and that side of it. You kind of just have to put yourself out there and make connections like that.
It's a lot different now. I notice now, like it's a lot more, it's a good thing in a lot of ways because now there's more people making jiu-jitsu content. So now YouTube is very saturated. So I've noticed my videos don't get as many views as they used to, just because there's more stuff out there. So it's a little bit harder to get sponsors now. But
Do
it
you
is a
have
good thing for jiu-jitsu.
do you have a particular piece on your YouTube channel that you're most proud of?
Ooh, yeah. Which one am I most proud of?
I
Probably,
love the Craig one.
There, that was I really like that one. Probably the Craig one because he has a really good story, and
Mhm.
probably the one I did on Marcelo Garcia.
I love
'Cause
that one
for
too.
me, he's my goat, in no-gi. Just
And
because of such a great guy, such a nice guy. I remember I bumped into him at CJI, and he remembered my name. Hey, Stuart, how are you? He's so friendly.
he is.
He's a
And
legend.
speaking of another GOAT, we have Hajar Gracie that's going to be a coach
Yeah.
at PGF. I mean, do you have any preferences on who your coach will be and how draft day will go?
I would love to be. I know Roger very well. I'm actually friends with Roger because we've taught a few camps together in Mendocino, and I'm also friends with Dean Lister. Me and him go way back. He stayed at my house in Blackpool, in Preston. He was doing a seminar in Blackpool years ago. I ended up when in 2013. My card wouldn't work in China, so Dean Lister let me sleep in his hotel room on the floor. And that was hilarious because I remember he goes, "Hey, bro, this is a funny story." He goes, "Just so you know, when I fall asleep, I like to sleep to war films, so I hope you don't mind. But my laptop's going to be on the back, be on in the background." And there's Dean Lister, this big gorilla, like snoring, and right next to him is a laptop playing 300. So there's people getting chopped up and screaming, and wars going on, and he sleeps to that. I don't know if it was just a temporary thing for ADCC or he actually does that every day, but Dean's a really good person. I really like him. He actually reached out to me, wants me on his team. So I would love to be on Dean or Roger's team, whoever. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I'm actually the rankings came out the other day. I'm like number 20.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't think
But
the
you know what? I
rankings really
understand
make
it.
a
I get it
big
because
difference now.
they've got nothing to go on. So like everyone there in the 20 athletes, they've all been pretty active competitors over the years, and I really haven't in the US at all. So I'm hoping to we'll surprise a few people.
Hey, well, who was the 20th? I'm blanking on his name right now. He's going to kill me. I know it was Nathan Haddad, and then, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. The feral, what's his name? Shoot. I'm blanking on his name, but he did the shoey.
Oh yeah, the shoey. Yeah, I can't remember his name. Yeah, but I know who you
Yes,
mean. Yeah.
but he's amazing, and it's literally his Instagram is like in the forefront of my brain right now. Jamie Carnal.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. So they all had amazing highlights. So I feel like the rankings don't matter, but especially for the draft, it doesn't matter because this year, instead of having like PJ Barch, the number one seed, go first, they're going to do it random. I don't know if you heard about
Oh,
that.
okay. Right. No, I didn't know.
So there's more strategy now. Instead of
Yeah.
just like everyone overbidding the first one, there's going to be, I think it's going to have more of that feel that Craig did for CJI with the little balls in the wheel and then
Oh,
they pick
yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be fun
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah,
we're,
it'd be fun. It'd be a fun experience. That's the
yes,
main
and
reason I'm doing it. Really, it's the experience. You only live once, and this seems like a really unique opportunity. It's going to be a great time and go up against some of the best guys in the world. I mean, probably won't ever get this chance again. So.
oh, well, I think you could be competing into your 50s or 60s if
Hopefully,
you
I just need
really
a bit
want
more, a
to.
few more stem cells.
Exactly. So who's going to be there for you to like film any highlights? Because you're usually the guy that's there getting all the highlights. Do you have someone to do that for you?
I think my girlfriend might come along actually. Yeah, she might come
Nice.
along and film. Yeah, yeah. So she's actually pretty good with the camera. She's a film producer, so she's got a good eye for it anyway.
Yes, I spoke to her at CJI and she's like
Yes, you
into
did.
the movies and all that.
Yeah.
So they'll definitely get some good content. I know we're running out of time here. So if you have any sponsors or projects that you're working on, let the audience know. The floor is yours.
Yeah, my sponsor Adapt Jiu-Jitsu. They're based in the UK, but yeah, they've the really cool, smart looking gear. So if you want to get some no gear, check out Adapt Jiu-Jitsu, and you can check out my Patreon. I've just got a new Patreon going. There's a lot of like content on there, like lots of B-roll that I never upload on my channel. So there's some like behind the scenes stuff. There's the full uncut videos of Craig smashing me on there. So I should have edited it a bit better.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's like lots of
definitely.
behind the scenes rolls, me rolling with Mason Fowler, me rolling with Craig, me rolling with Wagner Rocha. Lots of cool stuff like that.
Yeah, and Mason Fowler didn't do CJI. I was like, I
No,
wonder if
yeah.
he'll do PGF, but I guess his back is still just not good.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, CGI too. I'm not sure if they'll call it CGI. We'll see. But yeah, he was one of my top picks. I remember I trained with Mason last year, and he was preparing for Gordon Ryan at the time, and he is one hell of an athlete. Really nice guy as well. So yeah, it's a shame he didn't get to do CGI, but you know, I heard him. His back was really bad, like really. He wasn't able to train, and if you can't train, you're not going to go in there with confidence. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure with $1 million on the line, it must have been that serious. But we cannot wait. PGF Season 7 kicking off November 3rd. If you're in town, November 2nd, Hodger Gracie is going to be doing a seminar. Are you going to be in Vegas already?
Oh, what date will that be?
November 2nd, Saturday.
November. I think, yes, I will be. I will be, yeah. I'll be there.
You should
I
check
arrive
it
on
out.
Thursday.
Nice, nice. I'm going to be in London for the first time for Polaris, but I'm going to be missing out on the Hodger Gracie seminar. But we cannot wait to see you in action, and I hope you are on that winning team.
Yeah,
it sounds
the
like
cameraman stepping on the mats. You
don't
want to lose to the cameraman.
If you enjoyed that interview, be sure to check out this one.